Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today I have with us, he's a director, writer, actor. He does a little bit of everything in the industry. And he has a short film out right now. It's in the festival circuits, and it is called The Blue-Eyed Boy and Mr. Death. I have with us today the director and writer, Jason Butera. Jason, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hello, sir. How are you?
It's a pleasure having you on, man. It's a pleasure having you on.
It's a pleasure to be had by you.
So tell us a little bit about The Blue-Eyed Boy and Mr. Death.
It sprang from an E.E. Cummings poem. That line, the title did. An E.E. Cummings poem I read when I was way too young. And the last line of that poem, it's called Buffalo Bills. And the last line of the poem is, and what I want to know, is how do you like your blue-eyed boy, Mr. Death? And that line stuck in my head for decades, and I always wanted to do something with it. And I wasn't quite sure what. And then the idea for this story came along after going through some trials and tribulations of life, and I knew what I had to do with it. And it's one of those, like, I seem to maybe have a knack for coming up with cool titles that sort of stick around and stick in people's heads. And this is one of those titles. And a lot of people think it's a horror movie because that's what I've done previous in my past, and it's not really. Even though the title belies the true nature of the film. But it's a short film. It's probably the most personal thing I've ever written, and it's something that I'm very, very proud of. It involves stepping outside of a lot of comfort zones and stuff like that. But we made something really, really special. So that's where the title of the poem comes from, and it sounds really kick-ass, which makes me happy.
Now, I ask a lot of filmmakers who make short films.
Mm-hmm.
Is it tough making a short film and compiling all of your ideas, all of the story into a short time frame?
Oh yeah, and that's why, and the norm for short films and stuff like that on the festival circuit, like, it tends to be getting shorter and shorter so that more people's work can be seen. But it's called, as you know, it's called killing your darlings. So I mean, it's like, trying to get rid of everything, especially as a writer and director, you tend to want to exert a little bit more influence. And if you're one of those people who are skilled enough to be a writer and director and an editor, I feel for them, because it's got to be all the harder killing those darlings and you want everything to be in this short film, and then you end up with like a 25-minute short film, which I've done multiple times before. And I've learned, ideally, hypothetically, I've learned the error of my ways. But I would still probably make a 25-minute short film if I felt it was necessary to tell the story. And I think that's what's hard, is to sort of be able to distance yourself between the story that you want to tell and the story that you need audiences to see or to hear or to feel or to be a part of. So it can be very, very hard to kind of distill things down. And some short films I've seen, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, they boil it down to one thing, and the production values are spot on. It's not even a story, it's an idea, but it's a fucking brilliant one. So I mean, if you can do that and distill something down that concise, that's amazing. I have way too many thoughts screaming around in my head like a demon to be able to get down on paper. So I cannot be able to write anything that short ever. I don't even think I could do that if I tried. I could probably write like a 1-page script, and then 10 pages later, I'm like, fuck, and just throw it all away and start over. So it's very hard, very, very hard. With the feature, you have the luxury of being able to pad it and tell a long story and be able to focus on so many different elements and divide it up into acts. And with a short film, I mean, your 3-4 act bit may be 60 seconds for each one. It just depends on the nature of the story, the genre, what you want to tell, what your involvement is, and stuff like that. So it's crazy. It's madness. It's masochistic in a way, in a lot of ways.
It sounds like it.
Cinemasochism is a term I coined. I like to think I coined it. I couldn't find it before I said it. But yeah, I mean, we keep doing it to ourselves over and over and over again. And each time it's like, we're never going to do this again. And then we get to the idea, and it's like, shit. And then it's just right down the rabbit hole again, so.
Because I've never made a film before, but I can imagine if I was visioning a story, I would be visioning a full-length feature. And it just seems like now, like you were talking about with film festivals, the idea of a short film is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of it is, attention spans are getting shorter. I mean, everything is just, everything has to be right now. And it's, the technology that makes things usually mostly better, also kind of, it doesn't narrow the playing field, but nowadays you can write, shoot, direct, edit, do everything you need to with a short film, and it fits in your pocket. And that's just kind of crazy. So it's opened it up in a lot of ways, but it just, it makes it, I think, infinitely more complicated too. to be able to sort of to do that thing. They can get the attention of somebody for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. If you're like me, Blue Eyed Boy is 19 minutes long. And it's all just dialogue. An amazing actor and some voiceover stuff like that. But it's hard to be able to just to distill that down. So
now, as a filmmaker, when it comes to making a short film, is it to get eyes on the project to possibly turn it into a full-length feature, or is it just to get the attention from the audience so they can see your work and and gain a fan base and gain an audience, so that when the time does come to make a full-length feature, you already have that cult following behind you?
Yeah, it'd be nice. Just to have the cult following. At this point, I would just settle for my own flavor of Kool-Aid. I don't need all of it. But I've made a feature. The film that I did before Blue Eyed Boy was called Kill Giggles, that we shot back in 2019. And we're getting ready to release it right around March 2020, and then that didn't fall. So we're still waiting for domestic release, which is a whole other podcast episode in and of itself. But the feature was a nightmare. But it's just, yeah. I forgot what the question was. Short films. I got to think about the painful stories.
Is it to gain an audience?
Cult following.
Or cult following. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a part of it. I think every filmmaker does it. No matter how magnanimous they want to portray themselves, how genuine, how sincere. You kind of do it for a little bit of a follow. You want to be able to have that recognition, that acknowledgement of your achievement of making something in this world that didn't previously exist before you put it on film or on a screen or something like that. So that's it. But I think a lot of it too is being able to tell the story that you want to tell. And I get to be a little bit luckier as a writer and a director, because when I'm writing something, and I still have to, I write everything longhand. I have to write with pen and paper. I can't ever create anything at a computer. It just annoys the crap out of me. But you're pouring your heart and soul on this page, and you're going to shoot it, and you're going to be out. You're going to put people out of work for 2-3 days, or 2 or 3 weeks, or 2 or 3 months, or however long it takes to shoot your short and stuff like that. All just praying in the hopes that somebody out there that sees it and gets it. So it's kind of trying to be able to tell a story to a worldwide audience now with online festivals and everything else like that. So it's exponentially increased the amount of people that you can reach. So for a movie like Blue Eyed Boy, which is a very, very personal story to me, and involves just loss of a family member and cancer, and I fucking hate cancer. That's a whole other idea too, because I've got another idea for a film where we're going to kill cancer, but that's a separate thing. But to be able to tell the story and the few festival screenings that we've had already, every single screening we've had people, if I'm there representing, or Adam Hampton was at a festival called Bare Bones in Oklahoma, he was there, but we have people come up and telling us stories of family members of loved ones that they've lost. And some just openly weeping, and then I started weeping, and then everyone's weeping all over again. It's a very, very dramatic film, but very, very powerful. And to me, it was important to be able to tell it the way that I saw it, and then just hope that someone out there gets it. And hope it made my dad proud. So that's where a lot of it. And we've been extremely lucky to be able to have several festival screenings, and then either be nominated and or win awards at those festivals. That's just the illicit icing on the cake. To be able to have that acknowledgement, that achievement, no matter what is it, but just the set of laurels to be able to have that for the story that you told, to know that you reached somebody, that somebody got it. It's just amazing. And if you play a festival like Austin Revolution Film Festival, they have these belt buckles for their awards, and they're so kick-ass. Nice. But that's it too. Because there's just so some of the festivals, have some really, really amazing trophies and stuff like that. And that's it's kind of that little incentive, because you want one for your collection. But to be able to get into anywhere, there's thousands and thousands of film festivals out there now, but there's also tens of thousands of filmmakers. So to be able to get in is amazing. To be able to get nominated, feels miraculous sometimes. To win an award is unheard of, no matter how many times that, if you're lucky for it to happen. So it's the cult following. It's being able to tell a story. It's just kind of, for me, I always feel that movies are a magical experience, and to be able to be a part of that, it's the ultimate storytelling. When you don't know what you want to be when you grow up, be a filmmaker, because you don't ever have to stop playing pretend. It's just on a much grander, much more expensive scale than when you were a kid. So yeah, it's just it's a little bit of all that, but it's ultimately it's storytelling, which I like being able to do. I haven't been able to stop ever since I started reading them.
And the reason I answer that question too, because even as a YouTube channel creator or whatever I'm called, like they say the model is now to be a YouTube creator is that you have to, yes, you do your long form videos, right? But that's going to get you a certain amount of followers.
Mm-hmm.
But to get to that next top tier level, which is 100% true, is to do short videos and the short videos on YouTube are, you got 50 seconds tops. You have to boom, 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 push something out in 50 seconds. And I hate doing them. I absolutely hate doing them because I feel like I can't push my message through in 50 seconds. I feel like I'm rushed.
Right.
But I mean, you should see the amount of views they get. You should
see
if you want to rack up the numbers. Subscribers. You should get the amount of subscribers and new eyes who normally wouldn't watch my channel are being introduced to my channel because they don't have to sit there and watch a 30-minute interview. They can see the clips in 50 seconds.
Easily digestible bites. That's what people want. I mean, it applies to any type of content creation. I mean, YouTube, film, podcasting, radio, theater, whatever. The attention span of the consumable public is just getting shorter and shorter and much more distracted. Some of the things about trying to shoot a horror movie or trying to make horror content these days is you've got to come up with something brilliant, especially for a short film, because I mean people can turn on any news source or watch any news source and see something far more violent, far more horrific, and far more horrible than anything we would ever have the budget to be able to film. So I mean it's just like how do you compete with the real world sometimes? It's hard. I mean that's why I think the beauty of horror filmmaking is that it can blend so well with almost any other genre. Horror comedy, horror sci-fi, horror silent film, horror musicals. It blends so well with everything that I think that's one of the universal appeals about it. That's what kind of drew me into it. That and the Twilight Zone.
Yep. Now, listen, I love short films. I'm a huge anthology guy. I grew up on Tales from the Crypt and Creepshow, and I wish I love horror shorts. I love short films in general. I do like full-length features, but there's something about the short that I love. Mm-hmm. Now, I just wish that there was more avenues for short filmmakers where, they can be on the same level as, the full-length features. Like, I'm going to start seeing a little bit more, but I wish there was more short films on Tubi, Amazon. And
Amazon used to have a lot of shorts for a while, but they tightened their rules and they booted a lot of short films, even like feature films. They booted a lot of indie filmmakers off, mm-hmm. and they didn't really have anywhere else to go. So I think that's part of the allure of the film festival circuit. And there's so many, physical festivals and then online festivals and stuff like that. But to be able to have that outlet, to have something, and not certainly not better than YouTube, but to have something just specifically allowing entrance in, to be able to have that sort of submission and acceptance process and stuff like that, as opposed to just openly uploading anything into YouTube. But to be able to sort of have that validation that goes along with it, I think is important. So
I agree. Now, you've made tons of movies in the past, or projects in the past. Now,
if I do the math, it's going to be painful.
Now, with Blue Eye Boy and Mr. Death, like you said, this is something personal. Mm-hmm. So, how does it? I mean, it must feel pretty fucking awesome to be able to, get the acknowledgments for something that you create other movies that are quote unquote about somebody else. This it's imaginary character. But when it comes to Blue Eye Boy, then this is something personal to you. This is a real live event. This is a piece of you. How does it feel to see audiences, appraise it as well as they are?
It lights that spark of believing that movies are magic all over again. I mean, it's the best warm and fuzzy feeling in the world, short of being hugged by my son. And this was Blue Eye Boy, because it was one of those things, like I tend to stew and marinate on stories for quite some time. even short film scripts and stuff like that. And I did so with this one, but there was an actor who I met at the Austin Revolution Film Festival, Adam Hampton, who's brilliantly talented in ways, and he's so fucking nice to you. Like, he's one of the people, like, I wish you would just suck at something. So I'd be like, but he doesn't, and it's very frustrating to be his friend. But I saw his work, and it was, I mean, just fell in love with it. And then, you know, hey, kind of pitched the idea to him, because I said, again, it's just a student in the back of my brain for a long time. And then, I mean, he was absolutely into it. So I kept sending him drafts and everything else like that. And then through Kill Giggles, through making Kill Giggles, I was able to become friends with Vernon Wells, who was in Mad Max. I mean, Commando, Weird Science, Inner Space, all the Power Rangers. And I'm pen pals with Vernon Wells now, which is an extremely surreal concept to me. I wish I could call 1985 me and be like, I know things suck now, but you have no idea how cool it's going to be. You just have to be cool. But I became friends with Vernon Wells, and I told him about the project. He's like, I'm going to be in this film. And I was like, well, yeah, I'd love to kind of pitch it. He's like, no, I'm going to be in it. I'm like, yes, sir. Because when Vernon Wells tells you something, you just nod your head. Yes, sir. So to be able to make, you know, this film, and parts of this film, the dialogue are directly out of conversations. Point of Blue-Eyed Boy, Mr. Death is what if Death occasionally felt bad for being a dick? And there's a man who loses his father to cancer. And he keeps his father, you know, he buys a house a little bit of time later, and he has the phone number. He keeps his father's phone number in his phone. And one night, drunkenly, a little bit, he accidentally hits call, and then somebody answers on the other end. And it's just a series of conversations. Because I was sort of fascinated with the idea that, I mean, what if? Because I mean, I don't think I would ever run into that one person who's like, no, I love cancer. Like, I don't think that person could possibly exist. So to be able to have something that that unites people in hatred, it seems to be the one good instance for that to ever happen. Like, if something could ever bring everyone together, it's like, oh, we all hate cancer. So to be able to tell that kind of a story with these people that I was able to involve with and stuff like that, it meant the world to me. And it was something that I planned for a very, 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 very long time. And we were going to shoot it actually a year early. We shot it. It's almost been a year. We started in mid-July of 2023. We shot the entire film in one weekend. So I obsess about pre-production to a sometimes annoying degree. But, you know, shot it all in one weekend and stuff like that. And it was an emotionally cathartic and exhaustive experience. I had a lot of stuff planned out, a lot of scenes. It was really cool. Vernon Wells, I flew both Vernon and Adam in here and stuff like that. And it was just, to be able to make this story with those people was just a once in a lifetime experience. Like, it's forever going to be one of my favorite film set experiences. But I mean, there were times during the filming where it's just Saturday night when we were shooting the last scene of the movie. The first time Adam Hampton did it, like, I looked around and we had maybe a crew of maybe 8 to 10 people. Everybody was just openly weeping and like tears streaming down their face, but nobody made a sound until I called cut. So as soon as we did, like, everyone just, I mean, it was emotionally exhausting and invigorating and exciting and delighting all at the same time.
And one of the things you brought up just then.
That's a lot. I tend to talk really fast too. You have to slow this down.
But I still have my mother's phone number. Like, she passed away 6-7 years ago. Mm-hmm. I still have her phone number saved in my phone. I still have all my friends, Jeff Strickland, all my good friends who have passed away. I still have their phone numbers saved in my phone. Mm-hmm. And there's something comforting about it when I go through my contacts and I see their name in my phone still.
Yeah, I mean, because this is one of those things where, I mean, my father passed away in January of 2010, and I bought my house in August of 2010. So it's like, I mean, I had like an 8 or 9 month gap, and it's like I always wanted him to see my house. I mean, he was wickedly talentedly smart in like that MacGyver kind of way. Like, was dyslexic, dropped out of school like in 8th grade, but could like build a fucking car out of a coconut and like 2 rocks. I mean, just like, I mean, you know, I mean, like, he could do anything with duct tape, like anything. But I always wanted him to be able to see my first house, and I missed that window by like 8 or 9 months, and it still kills me to this day. So I mean, that's, you know, sort of like the opening scene of the film. Is, I mean, you know, a lot of the stuff, the dialogue, we shot it at my house. I mean, a lot of these things come straight out of that. But I've sat on my porch, and I still have my dad's number on my phone, and I just wonder, like, what happens, because I mean, the number gets recycled as soon as like the change of that. So how many people have had that number since then? But it's like you just sit there and you wonder, it's like, what if? Like, are you going to get like someone else's voicemail? Are they going to pick it up? Is it just going to be like out of service? Or like, what if somehow, some way, someone else answered? So I mean, that was the impetus behind telling this story, was trying to kind of come to terms with the whole cycle of father and son. Just sort of, and then the son becoming the father, and it just the circle of life, cycle of life. It sometimes just feels like you're stuck in a Mobius strip club and you can't find your way out. But you're having a good time, and there are those moments of light and love and levity that make everything else worthwhile. So it's just trying to find that balance somehow, and to do it in 19 minutes.
Isn't it weird? I feel like we're about the same age, but isn't it weird the older you get, like you realize? I mean, I know as a son, you look back, you're like, holy shit, I'm a fucking dad.
It blows my mind each and every single day. I'm like, oh dear gods, yeah. You're responsible. It's like I still have a hard enough time. If I didn't have a golden goddess who loved me, I'd be long gone probably. But it's like I still have a hard enough time taking care of myself. I'm like 6 cups of coffee and sugar, and I eat like a complete teenager from 1987, and to me that's fine. I'm still here. I'm mildly healthy, I think. But yeah, and then now you're responsible for someone else, and it's like, holy shit. And then just looking around, because my son is 12, he's in 6th grade. Like, I think about what I was doing in 6th grade, and again, I'm like, holy shit. And we didn't have phones and social media. Like, there are probably a few blurry Polaroids out there of some of the dumbass stuff that I did in the 80s and 90s and early aughts. But it's not well documented on social media. It's not floating on the cloud in some dude's basement somewhere. And it's mind numbing. I mean, I think about how difficult middle school was back then, and everything that I had to go through, and now thinking about what he goes through, and it's just like it makes you scared. It makes you worried when you see, just how much of a shithole the world can be, how much of a raging dumpster fire, and we just act like complete cunts to each other, and we keep doing it over and over again. And it's just like, you want to bring another life into that? But then, that's part of fighting the battle, fighting the good fight, is to be able to bring another life into that and show that life that the world can be a better place. And yes, it can be a shithole, but there are good things. And to find that balance. And that's what I try and do with my son as much as I can. Just to be able to show the good in things. That you can make the world a better place, at least for the people around you, at least for yourself. And trying to do that with things like filmmaking, because it can be, like I said, the world cannot be the most fun and nice and exciting place, but if you can go to a horror film festival and just not have to think for 4 or 5 hours and watch good horror and entertain yourself, and just just takes you, you can unplug your brain. Don't look at a phone for 3 or 4 hours and see if the world's still spinning. It will be, I promise you. And by doing that, you're paying tribute to other art, to artists and their creative work. You're another person in the seat, and as an indie filmmaker, especially at festivals and stuff like that, the more cheeks and seats, the better. You don't care why they're there, but there are people there that took time out of their busy digital life, or got up off the couch and went to a film festival, and they're watching your movie, and it's a very rewarding experience for people to to be able to have a little bit of people's time. And then if they are away from the phone and actually watching your film, to be able to have that time. And then if they get your film and it means something to them, like, it just keeps going up and up and up in terms of those personal rewards. And I think that's one of the amazing things about it, especially the indie film circuit, is to be able to have that interaction and to affect people as a storyteller, as a content creator. That's a big part of why it's magical, I think.
I agree. Now I'm just like so glad that I wasn't born. What happened? I'm so glad. Did we freeze?
You froze, but I may have frozen on your end, but we may have reverse frozen, which you pay extra for that. But we're cool.
Okay, because the recording stopped. Okay. Anyway, but I'm like so glad that I wasn't born in this time frame. Hold on a second. Let me pause the video and see what happens. Okay. Is the counter going on your end?
Yes.
Okay. Well, one of the things I I'm so glad is that I wasn't born in a generation because, I mean, think about it. I mean, social media and the fucking internet. Marijuana is legal, like, in my state and a lot of fucking states. I mean, the amount of trouble I would have gotten into
cool, everything else.
Yes, but I mean, I would have definitely. I mean, I didn't start looking weed until probably in my late 20s, for the first time. And like, if it would have been that accessible,
it would have been a whole different world.
A whole different world. Like, I mean, my motivation would have just been completely fucking gone at that point. And like, I'm like thinking to myself, like, boy, what if I was 17, 18, online dating Tinder was a fucking option? Jesus, I mean, I would definitely be in some weird guy's basement tied up or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't have lasted. I'm old enough that when I met my wife, she had to look me up in the phone book to get my address. So yeah, and that dates me right there. But we're still together, and she hasn't told me to fuck off yet and change the lock. So I got to be doing something right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't even fathom because it just the whole digital online presence and everything else, and just it makes very little sense to me. But I mean, I didn't get people my own age when I was my own age, so trying to understand that same age in this day and age is just an exercise in futility for me. Like I don't get it. I have lunch with my son usually on Fridays. I'll go to his school. He's in 6th grade. So, because I used to go in elementary school, which was rad because the pizza hasn't changed in like 30 years. It's still the same rectangular little thing, and there's chunks of meat in there. But the recipe hasn't changed in 35, 45 years. Still the same kind of pizza.
Wow.
When he got to middle school, it's bougie pizza now, which is it's okay. Yeah. I go there, and I'm 48 years old, and I have a mohawk, and I look like that guy in the band. And it's funny because like the bullet come up, he's like, "Well, so and so says you're really, really cool." I'm like, "Oh, okay." This person made fun of your mohawk. I'm like, "Oh, okay." It's like, "Well, doesn't that bother you?" I'm like, "No, like I didn't give a shit about that stuff in 6th grade. Like I don't give a shit about what some 6th grader thinks about me now, or their adults, or their parents. Like none of that matters." So trying to teach them what the value of humility, but then also just to be happy with yourself first, because if you're not, then you're not going to be happy with anything else in life, which is hard for a 6th grader in this day and age to learn. When it's like, my wife used to tell me, we were talking about having, we had the talk with the boy and having the talk with the boy and the continuing discussions about, your body and growing old. Like, I have to wonder, like, how many fathers, how many parents have just a YouTube playlist? It's like, here, watch this YouTube video. And it's like, if I tell him, like, this is what this is and this is what it does, he'll be like, yeah, I mean, he might pick up, like, every 3rd or 4th word. But if I play him a YouTube video, it's fucking gospel, and he'll listen to everything verbatim and be able to quote it back to me, 2-3 months later. Yeah. But yeah, so having the talk is just making a YouTube playlist at this point. Like, it's a weird fucking world. And I don't like a lot of it. Some of it's pretty cool, but yeah, it's just a lot of it. It perplexes me. But then I think about, my dad when I was 12, and it's just like, oh, now I get it. All my dumbass friends and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, because I don't like, it makes perfect sense. I was playing Super Mario Brothers over and over and over again because I couldn't get past like level 3-2 or some shit, level 3-3. And my dad didn't get it. He's just like, he would mumble and grumble and walk away and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm never going to do that. But I do the same fucking thing when my son's playing Fortnite, so it's just like, yeah, again, the circle of life, I guess.
Goes right back around. Yep.
Oval of life. There's something of life.
Yep. All right, Jason, where can everyone find you, my friend?
I'm right here.
On social media.
Oh, social media. I was like, hello. We've got madonesfilms.com is the website. We still have one of those. And then most of the social is whatever, .com/madonesfilms. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter are all /madonesfilms. And then Instagram is the Mad Ones Films, because I forgot my password and the fuckers wouldn't let me reset it. So I had to put like the article in front of it, which makes it sound a little bit classier anyway. Because there's also apparently like a Mad Ones Films in Australia, and they keep trying to buy my website from me. And I'm like, no, fuck you guys. It's cool. I love Australians. They're my favorite. Vernon Wells is Australian, as he's finally reminded me. If you call him sir, he gets really mad. But yeah, I mean, we're all over there. CB Radio, our handle is ClownKiller666. Not really. I wish we had CB Radio handle. I wish I had a CB Radio.
CB Radio is so fucking fun.
Dude, I
had one when I was a kid.
can't remember what my MySpace is. I'll have to look it up and get back to you.
Yes.
I used to have a GeoCities room. I think back in the day, a long time ago.
Wow.
1997, maybe 96, 5.
Wow.
I can't remember.
I used to fucking love MySpace. I was one of the last people that converted over to fucking Facebook. I had to because like no one else was on MySpace.
Everyone jumped ship.
Everybody jumped ship, and I fucking did not want to do Facebook. I did not because I thought MySpace was so superior.
If you had like a song, and you could program your friends and be like, "I don't like you." It's like on Facebook, someone just unfriends you, and you don't find out about it until like months later, and you're the fucking asshole. On MySpace, if your friend order changed, some shit went down. You know, you had ways that it's easier.
I mean, you can show motherfuckers like who, where you fit in the priority of my list because you got a top 10. You can put your friends in a fucking top 10. Like. That's
when they bump the numbers up, it's like 32. You're like, I like these 32 people. Everyone else can fuck off. You know
exactly. MySpace was fucking amazing, man.
I miss Tom, dude. I didn't know how good we had it with Tom. I didn't appreciate it. It's like Cinderella said, like you don't know what you got till it's gone. And clearly they were talking about Tom.
And MySpace didn't have the same bullshit that Facebook has attached to it. Oh my goodness, my problems, and I hate this person. MySpace was all about you know what I mean? It was building who you are. You had your fucking music, you had your own fucking artwork, it was about who you were as a person, not necessarily what your fucking political beliefs were or blah 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 blah. You know?
It was so much easier back then. Although I think bands have been using it pretty consistently from what I've heard.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, maybe it'll make a comeback. I mean, that'd be cool. Maybe we should bring it back, dude. You should start a MySpace page for Horror Realm, and then I'll be friends with you, and then like it'll fucking spread like a disease model.
I'm being serious. I'm gonna fucking do that. Horror Realm is gonna have a fucking MySpace page if it will allow me to. I think
we're pretty desperate for anybody at this point.
Okay. Horror Realm gonna have a fucking MySpace page.
Yeah, I wonder if I could access the Mad Ones Films MySpace. Damn, I'm gonna look that up, yo.
Let's fucking do that. I'm gonna start my page, and guess what? You're gonna be number one. I mean, Mad One Films is gonna be number one on my fucking friend list.
I mean, to be fair, I'm cool with number 2. Like Tom should be number 1. Like, and then I'll be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You'll be in my top 5. You'll be in my top 5 because you're the one who created the idea, gave me the
idea. Happy to help, sir. Happy to help.
All right, everyone. Listen, please get over and check out Mad One Films on social media as well as the website. And by the way, listen.
Yes, sir.
When you get done your festival run and so forth, I'd love to have you back on and let's stream live. Let's stream the Blue Eye Boy live on my show.
Okay. That'd be super rad.
Well, look for that in the future.
All
right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that is Jason Buterin. I did that right? Buterin.
Yes. No. I've heard much worse, so that was in the top 5 easily.
Thank you. I had it right the first time.
Yes.
Buterin.
Yes.
We'll see you next time. Take care.